Welcome to today's final Motivation Monday. So, guys, I'm really excited about this one. This is a good one. You know, the saying, you save the best for last. I really do feel like this is a good one to end the series on. And today I'm talking about hope is not wishful thinking. Hope is the audacity to believe. After all I have been through, there is more ahead of me. So anyone who's coming into the chat a little bit late this morning, I have pinned that quote in the chat room, but I am going to read it again for you guys, and then I'm just going to give my thoughts on it. And really the hope here is that it does motivate or inspire anyone that may be going through anything today, or if someone just wants to hear a positive word. So I'm going to repeat that one more time. Hope is not wishful thinking. Hope is the audacity to believe. After all I have been through, there is more ahead of me. And I really love this one, and I purposely chose this one because it reminded me of a period that I was in my life. And so I want to share that with you. I think the biggest takeaway I have from this quote is there is more ahead of me. And it takes me back to a time for a job that I had worked really hard for, I had prayed for, and it just really didn't turn out to be what I thought it would be at all on so many different levels and for so many different reasons. I absolutely I was pregnant at the time. I was at the end stages of my pregnancy. And I just remember thinking, wow, all of this just to resign. Because I got to a point where it was no longer healthy for me, neither physically or mentally, to be honest. And so I had to make that decision. And after consulting with my husband and a couple other people, I did, in fact, resign. Now, I remember quickly, a short time after that period, really thinking, wow, I worked my whole life. I did all of the things that I could to get this, what I felt was a dream job. And, for a while I was a little bit down because I was really thinking, where do I go from here? How do I go higher than that? And so what kind of got me through that was realizing that at that age, there has to be more. Better days are ahead. So something that was meant to make me feel depressed, something that was meant to make me feel small in that moment, it actually fueled my fire to get to those better days. And I am here to tell you, absolutely, I have had absolutely more better days ahead. I have had better days. Since then, I have held bigger and better positions, and even in the place I am today, I hardly recognize that woman that I was those years ago. So I hope that encourages someone that better days are ahead. Now, the second piece that really spoke with me is after all I've been through, right? After all I've been through. And I think of that situation, after all I had went through, what is that preparing you for? That's a question I really want to ask you. Have you prayed for something bigger? Are you believing for more? Are you setting yourself up for the next steps in your life? Because remember, we typically go through these processes before we are elevated, before we are promoted. So think of that. What is that preparing you for? What are you getting out of this situation? What are you supposed to be learning from that situation? So just really think of, what is this preparing you for? And it's hard, guys. I know it's hard to think of that when you're going through. But remember, you are in fact going through. This is not something that's meant to stop you. It's not something that's going to prevent you from getting to where you are. But it's really, you're gaining a strengthening. You're gaining wisdom. You're gaining an understanding. All of those things you will need when you get to where you're going. The last thing that I got from this quote is make room for what's ahead. Make room for what's ahead. It's, one thing that I will say is that when you're talking about making room, I shared with you a couple of weeks ago that I used to always feel as though, I wouldn't be able to do what I wanted to do professionally, personally, cook dinner, get the kids to school, pick them up, take them to their activities. I would see other people do it, and in my mind, I was hoping that I could do that, but I really just didn't see a way to do it. And I think I've shared with you before that as long as I held myself by my own thinking, I was right, right? I didn't have the room for it. But the moment I started rearranging and moving in the way that I wanted to go, so setting those hard deadlines as to when I worked, what times I worked, what I wanted to get done in one day, so that I could make sure by the time I needed to do certain things, right? Because our first ministry, our first priority should be our home. So what changes did I have to make in order to do those things? In other words, how did I make room for that to happen and occur in my life? What's funny about that though, guys, and this is probably the biggest takeaway, during that time when I thought that I couldn't do more or I couldn't do all of it, I was also worried about bills, how I was going to pay things, looking at that savings account, right? I was just sharing this with a friend the other day. Since I have made room for more in my life, I haven't stressed a day. Now, let me use that word stress. Let me tell you what I mean by that. I think we all have moments of being tense. I think we all sometimes question how things will come about. But being so stressed that I'm upsetting myself, that it's impacting relationships, that level of stress I have not had since I was able to make room for more. Those bills, things that I used to worry about, they're not even considerations today in my life. I can proudly say that. So again, it's about making room for more. Okay, so the biggest takeaway I have from this is don't limit yourself by your thinking. Don't put those chains and restrictions on yourself by where you stand today, because we want that situation to change. We want to evolve past that. So I hope this has touched somebody. Again, I love the quote. I think it means so many things, and there's so many takeaways. But again, I am going to read you the quote, and then I'm going to read you my takeaways, and then I want to invite you to a new series that we have as this one comes to an end. So again, the quote that we have for today is, "Hope is not wishful thinking. It is the audacity to believe after all I've been through, there is more ahead of me." The takeaways that I received from this quote, because it really did give a lot, is better days are ahead of me. What has all that you've been through, what has that prepared you for? And then number 3, you want to make room for what's ahead. I'm making room for what's ahead. Guys, as we conclude the Monday motivation time that we have spent together for the month of August, it's really allowing me to transition into September. So September, I'm starting a new series, and it's just Wednesday night of worship. It will be on Wednesdays, actually starting next Wednesday, September 7th, and for all the Wednesdays of the month. It will start at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Please come and, pray with me, share with me. This is a time for encouragement for each other, to lift each other up, and really just give all the glory to our Heavenly Father. So if you're down for that, I invite you to join. And I'll just be going live at that time. If you're not able to be live at that time because of family commitments and other things, I completely understand. I will still post the video to our YouTube channel a little bit later. Okay, guys, that's all I have for you today. Stay blessed.